Michael Woodhouse.
Chairman, I purchased my first crate of beer out the back door of Hef's Hotel in King Edward Street, Dunedin. Bayview, was it? In September 1981. It was the day of the third test between the All Blacks and the Springboks, that famous flower bomb test. Mr Haig might have even been there. I was watching the game at a mate's place, and it was my turn to buy the beer. Nicky Kay was probably toddling around Auckland in nappies. I expect most people born before 1975 have a similar story to tell. Because in my adolescence, it was easier actually to get alcohol from licensed premises, and it was really hard to get it from family or anything other than close friends. And I think what's changed since the purchase age went down is that it's now become harder to get alcohol from licensed premises, but easier for under 18s to get them from other sources. And this is really important because in order to justify raising the age again, we need to be sure that lowering the age was in fact the cause of, rather than simply co-related with, the alcohol-related harm. And the Law Commission referenced several studies on increases in things like emergency department presentations, violence and motor vehicle accidents. But in most of those studies, the data is for youth aged 15 to 19 or 15 to 24. So the studies include harm by those aged above 20, not affected by this change, and below 18. So my question is this: what benefit, if any, will a change in the purchase age for 18 and 19-year-olds have on our drinking culture? And the studies do show that while the harm to 18 and 19-year-olds went up after 1999, they also went up in other age groups. And at the same time as other changes were being made, like the introduction of beer in supermarkets, correlation is not cause.
No, we're not worried about that.
But regardless of how I vote on this part, I want to endorse the other policies in the bill that focus on youth harm. And the most important one of those, I think, is the express permission that parents will need to get in order to allow young people to drink in their homes. Because I don't think that change has been given anything like the credit it deserves. And I get the point about young people that when they say that that they're not the only age group that experience excessive drinking, but older drinkers with problems start as younger drinkers with problems. And younger drinkers definitely seem to drink more and more regularly than a generation ago. So if we're to make meaningful change, we need to start with the young. But I'm convinced that the law changes won't do that. What we need is an attitude change and a culture change. And I want to see our young leaders bringing about that culture change. We see it in smoking and in drink driving and a plethora of other youth issues. What I don't yet see is young leaders taking the lead in developing and driving that responsible drinking culture. I hear lots of platitudes about individual rights and harm minimisation and so on. Students at Otago University plead the case to enable 5,000 of them to go to Hyde Street every year and get completely trolleyed. As long as they clean up after themselves, they think that's all right. There's TV ads that say getting completely smashed but not driving home is okay. Not that getting smashed in the first place is not okay. And our young Nats have led the Keep It 18 campaign. I get their arguments about being old enough to fight, fornicate, vote, etc., but not old enough to buy a beer at the end of a hard day's study. They've reminded us about the National Party value of individual freedom. I want to remind them of that other National Party value, personal responsibility. So I say to Young Nats President Sean Topham and the other regional chairs, you are the future leaders of our party, possibly of our country. Take leadership on this issue. Lead the change in the discourse amongst our young. Actively promote the message that alcohol consumption is normal, but excessive consumption isn't. That getting trashed is dumb in the same way that smoking or drink driving is dumb. That messages on campus should be that the taxpayer is entitled to expect that their hard-earned taxpayer money funding their education is not thrown up against the wall of the Captain Cook Tavern every Thursday to Sunday. Show that sort of leadership and I will support and vote to keep it 18.
Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. I also grew up in the same city as Michael Woodhouse, although he was a